Good evening, and welcome to The Digital Debate. Tonight, we're tackling a question that's become increasingly pertinent in our interconnected world. Overall, do the negative impacts of social media outweigh the benefits? It's a complex issue with passionate arguments on both sides. To help us navigate this, we have two distinguished guests. Arguing for the significant benefits of social media is Sarah, a digital marketing strategist with extensive experience in online community building. And presenting the case for caution, highlighting the potential downsides, is Ben, a clinical psychologist specializing in the effects of technology on mental health. Our discussion will begin with opening statements from each speaker, followed by a deeper dive into their main arguments with supporting examples. We'll then have a period for rebuttal and cross-questioning, concluding with closing statements. We aim for a robust, evidence-based discussion, conducted with mutual respect. Sarah, if you're ready, the floor is yours for your opening statement.
Thank you, Alex. I firmly believe that social media, when approached with understanding and used responsibly, offers benefits that profoundly enrich our lives and societies, far outweighing its potential drawbacks. Consider the sheer power of connection it provides. In an era of global mobility, social media platforms are the invisible threads that keep families and friends tethered across continents, sharing milestones and offering support as if distance were no barrier. Beyond personal relationships, it fosters communities of shared interest. Whether you're a rare book collector, a patient seeking solidarity for a specific medical condition, or an amateur astronomer, social media allows you to find your tribe, to learn and grow with like-minded individuals from every corner of the globe. Furthermore, its role in education and awareness is undeniable. Platforms like YouTube, Instagram, and even TikTok have become incredible repositories of knowledge, offering tutorials on everything from coding to cooking. They are also vital tools for staying informed about current events, often providing real-time updates and diverse perspectives that traditional media might overlook. We've seen social media galvanize social movements, giving voice to the voiceless, and bringing critical issues to the forefront of global consciousness. This democratization of information is a powerful force for positive change. And let's not forget its utility for businesses and creative individuals. Social media has leveled the playing field, enabling small enterprises to compete with established corporations, artists to showcase their talent to a global audience, and entrepreneurs to build communities around their products and services with unprecedented reach and engagement. It's a dynamic ecosystem of opportunity, innovation, and connection. While challenges exist, they are not insurmountable, and they certainly don't negate the immense positive potential inherent in these platforms.
Thank you, Alex. While I acknowledge Sarah's points about connectivity and information access, I contend that the pervasive and often insidious negative impacts of social media on mental well-being, societal cohesion, and individual privacy are substantial, and in many cases, they are indeed overshadowing these purported benefits. My primary concern stems from the alarming rise in mental health issues demonstrably linked to social media usage. We're observing increased rates of anxiety, depression, and particularly concerning body image issues and low self-esteem, especially among adolescents and young adults who are constantly bombarded with curated, unrealistic portrayals of life. Cyberbullying is another grave consequence, a relentless form of harassment that can follow individuals anywhere, anytime, through their devices, leading to severe emotional distress and, tragically, sometimes even worse outcomes. The very design of many platforms, engineered for, quote, engagement above all else, can foster addictive behaviors, consuming vast amounts of users' time and attention that could be better spent on restorative, real-world activities and interactions. Beyond individual mental health, the spread of misinformation and disinformation on social media poses a significant threat to societal cohesion. These platforms can become echo chambers, reinforcing biases and limiting exposure to diverse perspectives, which in turn fuels political polarization and erodes trust in established institutions, including journalism and science. The speed and reach with which false narratives can propagate are unprecedented, making it incredibly challenging to counter them effectively. This isn't merely about differing opinions. It's about the deliberate manipulation of public discourse with potentially devastating real-world consequences. Finally, we cannot ignore the serious concerns surrounding privacy and data exploitation. Users often unknowingly trade vast amounts of personal information for access to these FOIA services. This data is then monetized, used to target them with advertising, and in some cases has been mishandled or exploited, raising profound ethical questions about the attention economy and corporate responsibility. Therefore, while social media offers certain conveniences, we must critically assess whether these benefits justify the significant and arguably growing societal and personal costs.
Alex, to build on my opening points, let me offer some more concrete illustrations of social media's positive power. When I speak of connectivity, I'm thinking of elderly grandparents using Facebook Portal to read bedtime stories to their grandchildren living overseas, bridging generational and geographical divides in a truly heartwarming way. I'm also thinking of online support groups that have become lifelines for individuals battling chronic illnesses or rare diseases. These platforms provide a safe space for sharing experiences, information, and emotional support that might be otherwise unavailable in their immediate physical communities. The sense of belonging and shared understanding can be incredibly therapeutic. Regarding information and activism, the Arab Spring is a frequently cited example, where social media played an undeniable role in citizen journalism and mobilization. But even on a smaller scale, think of local community groups using Facebook to organize neighborhood watches, share urgent local news, or coordinate help during natural disasters like floods or wildfires. This rapid dissemination of critical information can, quite literally, save lives and properties. Moreover, movements like #MeToo or Black Lives Matter gained global traction and spurred vital conversations, largely because social media allowed personal stories and collective outrage to bypass traditional gatekeepers and reach a massive audience. It has empowered individuals to demand accountability and drive societal change in ways previously unimaginable. And in terms of opportunities, I've personally witnessed countless small businesses, artisans, and freelancers build thriving careers solely through platforms like Instagram, Etsy, or LinkedIn. A talented baker in a small town can now sell her creations nationwide. A freelance graphic designer can find clients across the globe. This isn't just about profit. It's about economic empowerment and the democratization of entrepreneurship. Of course, no tool is without its potential for misuse. I concede that issues like misinformation and online negativity are challenges. However, these are not inherent flaws of social media itself, but rather issues of human behavior and the current stage of digital literacy. The solution, in my view, lies not in wholesale condemnation, but in fostering media literacy from a young age, encouraging critical thinking, and pushing for platforms to implement more robust mechanisms for content moderation and user control. It's about responsible usage and continuous improvement, not abandonment.
Sarah paints an optimistic picture, and I do acknowledge that such positive instances exist. However, the systemic issues I highlighted earlier often undermine these benefits or come at an unacceptably high cost. Let's delve deeper into the mental health aspect, for instance. Numerous studies, not just hypothetical ones, have correlated high levels of social media use with increased symptoms of anxiety, depression, and loneliness, particularly in adolescents. For example, a 2019 study in The Lancet Child and Adolescent Health found that frequent social media use was associated with poorer sleep quality, online harassment, and lower body esteem, which in turn were linked to depressive symptoms in teenagers. The very architecture of these platforms is often designed to be addictive. Features like infinite scroll, intermittent variable rewards in the form of likes and notifications, and algorithmically curated content that maximizes engagement. These are not accidental. They are carefully engineered to keep users hooked, often at the expense of their well-being and productivity. Consider the phenomenon of compare and despair, where individuals are constantly exposed to idealized, filtered versions of others' lives, leading to feelings of inadequacy and envy. This isn't simply a matter of users needing more, quote, digital literacy. It's about platforms profiting from psychological vulnerabilities. Regarding misinformation, the problem is not just that fake news exists, but that it often spreads faster and wider than factual information, precisely because it's designed to evoke strong emotional responses: fear, anger, outrage. During the COVID-19 pandemic, for example, we saw how quickly harmful misinformation about vaccines or unproven treatments proliferated across social media, with tangible negative impacts on public health efforts. And when we talk about privacy, it's not just about targeted ads. It's about the creation of detailed psychographic profiles that can be used for more than just selling products. They can be used for political manipulation, as seen in the Cambridge Analytica scandal. The lack of transparency regarding how our data is collected, processed, and shared is a fundamental problem that erodes trust. So while Sarah suggests that downsides are manageable, I argue that many of these issues are deeply embedded in the business models and design philosophies of major social media platforms. They are not mere side effects. They are, in some cases, features that drive profit, making them incredibly difficult to mitigate without fundamental structural changes or stringent regulation.
Thank you both for those detailed arguments. Sarah, Ben has raised some very serious concerns, particularly regarding the impact on mental health and the systemic nature of misinformation. How do you reconcile these with your generally positive view of social media's role?
Those are valid concerns, Alex, and Ben articulates them well. I don't dismiss the mental health challenges or the issue of misinformation. However, I believe the narrative that these are insurmountable or solely the fault of the platforms is too simplistic. Firstly, there's a growing movement towards, quote, digital wellness, with platforms themselves introducing tools to manage screen time, filter content, and mute notifications. Secondly, education is paramount. We need to equip users, especially young people, with critical thinking skills to navigate the online world discerningly, to understand algorithmic bias, and to cultivate healthier online habits. It's a shared responsibility between users, educators, and the platforms themselves, which should be encouraged and, if necessary, compelled to invest more in safety and transparency.
Thank you, Sarah. Ben, Sarah has highlighted the power of social media for good, such as its role in activism, like the #MeToo movement, and in building supportive communities for those with niche interests or health conditions. Do these examples not offer significant societal value that might balance some of the risks you've outlined?
Alex, I absolutely concede that social media can be a conduit for positive social action and community building, and those instances are indeed valuable. The #MeToo movement, for example, undeniably brought crucial conversations to the global stage. However, we must ask at what overall cost these benefits are achieved. Even within such movements, there's the risk of online vigilantism, misinformation, and the intense psychological toll on activists who face harassment. Furthermore, the same platforms that facilitate these positive movements are also those that contribute to the mental health issues and societal divisions I've described. It's a double-edged sword, and my concern is that the negative edge is becoming sharper and more damaging than the positive one, especially when the underlying platform structures remain problematic. In conclusion, while social media offers undeniable conveniences and moments of connection, it is my firm contention that its current trajectory and widespread, often uncritical, adoption are leading to negative impacts that significantly outweigh these benefits. The erosion of mental well-being, the rampant spread of misinformation that frays the fabric of our society, and the systematic exploitation of personal data are not minor issues. They are profound challenges. We need to move beyond a simplistic view of these platforms as neutral tools. Their design, their algorithms, and their business models have profound implications for how we think, feel, and interact. Therefore, I call for greater critical awareness from users. a stronger push for ethical design and accountability from the tech companies, and potentially more robust regulatory oversight to mitigate these harms. If we continue down this path without a significant course correction, I fear we risk a future where genuine human connection is further devalued, critical thinking is diminished, and societal trust is irreparably damaged. The question is not whether social media can be good, but whether it, on balance, good for us now, and the evidence, I believe, points to a worrying negative.
Thank you. While Ben has eloquently highlighted the challenges, which we must address, I maintain that social media remains one of the most powerful and transformative tools humanity has ever created, and its capacity for good is immense when harnessed correctly. The benefits of global connectivity, democratized information, and unprecedented opportunities for individuals and communities are too significant to dismiss or overshadow. The problems we face are not inherent to the technology itself, but rather to how we are currently learning to integrate it into our lives and societies. Human agency is key. We have the power to shape our online experiences, to demand better from platforms, and to educate ourselves and future generations to be responsible digital citizens. I envision a future where social media evolves, guided by ethical considerations and a commitment to well-being, into an even more potent force for positive change, fostering understanding, collaboration, and innovation on a global scale. The journey requires conscious effort, but the potential for a more connected, informed, and empowered world is well worth striving for. Let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Thank you, Sarah, and thank you, Ben, for a truly insightful and thought-provoking debate this evening. You've both presented compelling arguments that underscore the complexity of social media's role in our lives. We've heard strong cases for its profound benefits in connection and empowerment, and equally strong warnings about its potential detriments to mental health and societal trust. Ultimately, the question of whether the negatives outweigh the positives is one each of us must continue to consider. We encourage our audience to reflect on the points raised tonight and to engage with social media mindfully and critically. That concludes the digital debate. Thank you for joining us. Good evening.